I'm going to be presenting a topic today, but I'm going to do it in a unique way. What we're going to talk about is something very basic, but something everybody's interested in. Let's talk about health. The first question I'm going to ask you, and I want you to think about this in your mind while I'm talking about this, is what is health? If you can't define what health is, how are you going to achieve health? So let's think about that for just a minute. What is health? There's a couple definitions of health. However, I want you to think about what it means to you as an individual. Let me give you the dictionary's definition of health. Actually, two different dictionary definitions of health. The first one is from the Webster's Dictionary. This is probably the most commonly used dictionary in the United States. Health is defined in the Webster's Dictionary as the absence of disease. However, I don't know if I like that definition too much. There's another dictionary that I use quite often called the Oxford New World Dictionary. That defines health as a state of well-being in mind, body, and spirit. That's kind of what I'm going to touch on a bit today. But getting back to answering your own question, what is health to you? I'm a single father of 3 boys. To me, health is having enough energy at the end of the day to come home to my kids and play with them. Not get tired, have the flexibility, the energy, the stamina that I need to raise my family even after a full day of work. That's what it meant to me when I first started my journey towards health. But you need to define for yourself what health means to you. I'm going to ask another question now. Now that you've kind of thought of the answer of what health means to you, here's another one. How do you develop poor health? What steps do you do every day that are leading you down a road towards disease? Or what steps are you doing every day that will lead you towards a healthy destination? Think about that. Because I have a saying that I want you to remember. Good health is not a destination. It's a journey. It is those tiny, small decisions that you make every day, that you make multiple times a day, that determine your health, or the lack thereof. One of the things that I found out through my journey towards health is that I tend to ignore warning signs that I see day to day, like warning signs on my packaged foods, warning signs that may show me that there's preservatives in my food, warning signs that there might be chemicals in the toothpaste I use, in the deodorant I use, in the shampoo that I use. We tend to ignore those. And I think it's those small decisions that we make every day, whether we choose to use those products or choose not to use those products, that help lead us towards that road of good health or lead us down the path of bad health. It is those tiny decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis every day that determine whether we are walking down that path of good health or walking down a path of poor health. Decisions like, am I going to use canned goods or fresh foods? Am I going to use foods that are laden with pesticides versus whole foods that are organic? It's these little decisions every day that will determine your health over long periods of time. People that consult with me are always asking, how do I know what's healthy? How do I know what's not healthy? There's too many decisions to be made out there. Sometimes marketing companies tell me something that's healthy and then we find out later that it's not. Well, I'm going to present to you today a way to where you'll always remember what's healthy and what's not. It's a very simple program and it's easy to remember. I want to talk about building a personal health plan just for you and your family. Do you have a financial plan? Do you have a business plan? How do you expect to retire at age 60 if you don't have a financial plan? How do you expect your business to succeed if you don't have a business plan? Well, how do you expect to be disease-free if you don't have a personal health plan? So the personal health plan that I'm going to implement for you and your family today is just that. It is a plan. And PLAN is an acronym. It stands for Purification, Longevity, Assimilation, and Nutrition. And I want you to memorize those 4 words. Purification, longevity, assimilation, and nutrition. That is going to be your personal health plan. Let me explain each one of those steps. The P. P stands for purification. You have 5 major elimination organs in your body: the skin, the lungs, the liver, colon, and kidneys. These are the elimination organs that help detoxify your body, that purify your body from harmful chemicals, from dead cells, from pollution and chemicals that permeate our environment. We have an obligation and a responsibility to keep these elimination organs free and clear from these harmful chemicals. But if you live in a large city, how can you do this on a daily basis? There are 5 easy steps to purification that I want you to remember. And these are so common and so basic that anybody can do them. Let's start with the basic human needs. We all have a need for clean air. If we live in a polluted, crowded city, you know that you're going to be breathing in chemicals. Well, how can we fix this? We need to start with good, clean air. Next, let's look at the water that we drink. We all drink water, we all need to be drinking water, and most of us don't drink enough water. But how's the quality of your water? Again, going to a good water purification unit is another good recommendation. Then there's another basic thing that we all as humans do, and that's wear clothing. What type of clothing are you wearing? Is it petroleum-based clothing? In other words, are you wearing nylon, rayon, polyester, and other harmful chemically made clothing? Or are you wearing silk, or cotton, or wool, or hemp fibers? Fibers that allow your skin to breathe. Also, when it comes to the skin, let's not forget about exfoliation. Getting those dead skin cells from off of our body on a regular basis can also help our skin breathe and eliminate better. And the 5th and last recommendation to help our body stay pure is to avoid chemicals. We all read ingredients on labels. If you read something that reads like a chemical, it most likely is. You need to avoid parabens. You need to avoid pesticides, preservatives, fluorides, chlorine, anything like that that we know is harmful to our bodies. And the only way you can do that is to educate yourself and to read the labels. These 5 easy steps will ensure that your elimination organs are clean and pure. And that means a clean and pure body, which will increase your energy and vitality. Let's move on to the second letter of our personal health plan, the L. L stands for longevity. Now, when I talk about longevity, I don't mean living to be like 150 or 200 years old. I'm talking about cellular longevity. Every cell in our body has a particular lifespan. A red blood cell lives 90 to 180 days. A white blood cell can live for a few hours to several days. Each cell's lifespan is important to your health and vitality. How can we make those cells live longer? How can we make them more efficient? The key to increasing cellular lifespan is reducing free radical damage. Well, how do we do that? The best thing you can do to reduce free radical damage is to decrease your stress levels. I know that's hard to do, especially if you've got children, if you've got a job, a boss that you don't like. There's a myriad of things that will cause stress in our lives. But there was a clinical study done by the University of Kansas in the United States about free radical damage and oxidative stress. They took patients and subjected them to high stress exercises and then measured the amount of free radical damage in their bloodstream. And then they took those same people and gave them relaxation exercises, aromatherapy, breathing, yoga, and Tai Chi, anything that would relax them. And the results were quite interesting. They found that a human being could handle 4 to 8 hours of free radical damage as long as they did 15 or 30 minutes of relaxation exercises every day. In other words, the amount of oxidative stress that was created in a 4-hour workout was eliminated by a 15-minute break of relaxation. What this study taught us was that there's no way we can eliminate stress from our lives. However, we can eliminate the free radical damage that is caused by stress. Another factor that causes our cells free radical damage is the environmental pollutants. Things such as cigarette smoking, car pollution, even noise pollution causes free radical damage. If we can eliminate these harmful things that we actually call carcinogens, then we've gone a long way to increasing our cellular lifespan. Carcinogen, the word itself actually means cancer-causing agent. And it's a no wonder why nowadays, with all the smoking, with all the pollution, that we have cancer so predominantly in our societies. In fact, last year in the United States alone, 695,000 people died from cancer. There are two more things we can do to increase cellular lifespan and reduce free radical damage. Number one, we need to decrease the amount of animal protein that we eat. Now, we are omnivores. No, humans are not carnivores. We're not made to live just off of meat. And we are not herbivores. We're not made just to live off of plants. We do need a variety. However, in our diets today, we do eat too much meat. And there's been numerous clinical studies to show that if we consume more than 12% animal proteins, our bodies lead to a state of degeneration and disease. But if we consume less than 5% animal proteins, we also lead to states of degeneration and disease. So I tell people that eating between 8 and 10% animal proteins in their diet is a good thing. Any more is not good, any less is not good. So reduce the amount of animal proteins that you intake. The next thing we need to do, of course, is increase our fruit and vegetables. And that means variety too. We have yellows, greens, purples, blues, oranges, reds, all the myriad of colors. Our bodies need those colors. Those are lycopenes, beta-carotene, alpha-carotene, indoles, polyphenols, carotenoids, catechins. These are all the different phytochemicals that make up these colors in our fruits and vegetables. And by increasing those varieties, we can actually increase cellular life, which in turn leads to improved health. Moving on to the next letter of our personal health plan. We've covered P, we've covered L, now we're going to talk about A. A stands for assimilation. You've all heard the proverb, you are what you eat. That's not true. You are what you assimilate. The process of proper digestion and proper assimilation is so vital to our health and well-being. I can't emphasize this point enough. Proper assimilation of nutrients means that it not only gets in your bloodstream, but that your cells recognize that nutrient as food and it becomes part of you. That's what assimilation means. In order to ensure that your nutrients are properly digested and properly assimilated, our bodies were given 5 basic functions to perform. Now, 3 of these 5 functions we control with our own thought process. The other 2 happen subconsciously, but let's cover these short 5 things. The first step in proper digestion and assimilation is something nobody does very often anymore, and that is actually the process of smelling your food. How many of you actually home cook your food right now? While you're preparing that food, you're actually smelling that food you're about to prepare. And this little chemical factory right here knows the pH of the food you're about to eat. It knows whether the food is fatty, whether it's high in protein, or whether it's high in sugar. And through our smelling process, our digestive juices prepare to digest what we're about to eat. You've probably all experienced this before, but when you're hungry and you smell something sweet, what happens to your body? You start secreting salivary amylase, which is an enzyme found in your saliva. Your stomach starts to growl because digestive enzymes are starting to be secreted into your stomach. Your body prepares to eat that sweet food. It's the same thing when you're about to eat fatty food. Your body secretes specific enzymes based on what you're about to eat, and that's all because of your nose. The second step is what we call mastication. That's chewing in layman's terms. None of us chew our food good enough anymore. In fact, I actually did an experiment in a cafeteria one time watching people eat and chew their food. And I counted on average that most people only chew their food 5 times. It really is simple to do. Next time you're in a restaurant, watch the person next to you and see how often they chew. It's actually quite entertaining too. You'll usually see people go chomp, chomp, chomp. 3 times is kind of normal. 5 times is the average. But we're supposed to chew our food 24 to 40 times depending on the type of food. We're actually supposed to produce a substance called chyme. Chyme is a creamy, pasty thing that our chewing produces. Once we produce chyme, then we can swallow. But none of us do that. And it's a huge problem with digestion nowadays. We eat our food too fast, and that's why we get heartburn and gas and bloating and all sorts of digestive problems. The third step to proper digestion and assimilation entails eating raw food. Now, how does raw food help your body digest? Well, raw food actually contains enzymes. In fact, in a raw apple, there's just enough enzymes to digest that apple. In cabbage, there's just enough enzymes to digest cabbage. Each of these raw foods contain certain enzymes that help your body digest that food. But cooking, heating of any type, preservatives, salt, freezing, microwaving, sautéing, any of these cooking techniques that we use kill these enzymes. And without those enzymes, your body has to work twice as hard at digesting that food. It's one of the reasons why after we all eat lunch and we go back to the office, we all start falling asleep. It's because our bodies have to work really hard at digesting that food, and it takes energy from our bodies to do that, and so our brain starts shutting down and we get tired and we want to take a nap. But if you eat raw foods, you actually get energy from the food you eat. And that only happens through that third stage, what we call the enzyme stomach. It's the upper portion of your stomach. So when you eat raw food that's full of enzymes, you smell it and you chew it properly and you swallow. The enzymes in that raw food begin to digest as soon as you swallow that food. If you eat cooked food, then the digestion process doesn't happen until stage 4, which is in the mid portion of your stomach. And that's when your body's had to work really hard at producing a lot of other enzymes through the pancreas and the liver, and that takes energy to do, which means you're going to be more tired and your food won't digest as properly. The fourth and fifth step of proper digestion, I already mentioned, happens subconsciously. There's nothing you need to do about it. That's where the food is digested in the mid and lower stomachs and then enters the duodenum and is assimilated into the bloodstream. That happens just because of the automatic processes of your body. But again, I need to emphasize the fact that step 1, smelling, step 2, chewing, and step 3, eating raw foods are critical in order to properly digest and assimilate your nutrients. Please don't forget those 3 steps. The fourth and final letter of our personal health plan is the N. And N stands for nutrition. Very simple, very easy to understand. Of course, we all need proper nutrients in order to maintain good health. We all know about vitamins and minerals and amino acids, all the things that our body uses on a daily basis that we have to intake via our mouth. That's why food is so important. You can't go too many days without eating food. However, does your food contain the right nutrients and the right amount of nutrients? Remember, we live in a stressful society today. We live in a very polluted world. The demands of our bodies are quite high. We need lots of nutrients. So where do you get those nutrients? Should I take a synthetic multivitamin? Should I take a natural multivitamin? Should I just eat food? There's so many people out there with so many different ideas. Well, I'm going to narrow this down and make it very easy and very simple to do. When it comes to the basic needs of your body, there's only 4 things you need to remember. You need to eat whole food, real food, not processed packaged food. Whole food contains the necessary vitamins and nutrients that we need if it was grown properly. Now that may mean organic growing, it may mean growing it in your own backyard, or at least being a wise shopper and buying food that was grown locally instead of shipped from long, faraway places. You also need to remember that we need a variety of foods. I know it's hard to get little children to eat a variety of foods. I raised 3 boys on my own. I understand that. Sometimes they don't want to eat spinach. Sometimes they don't want to eat okra. They won't want bitter melon. They just don't eat a variety of foods. However, I learned a little trick that helped my children eat a variety of foods. We call it the 3-color rule in our home. We made a rule that with each meal we had to eat 3 colors. And we also made it fun. I used to challenge my boys, how can we get a yellow into this meal? How can we get a blue into this meal? What about a red? Where's our reds? I would say things like that to them, and it actually became fun for them to try to eat a variety of colors with each meal. In fact, we even had a competition one time. I wanted to see if my boys could get 8 different colors into a meal that they thought of. And it was challenging, but one of the boys actually did it. So doing things like that will help increase the variety of your food. One more thing you need to understand about nutrition is that you can't do extremes. I know there's tons of diets and fads out there, like the grapefruit diet, or I've even heard of the banana diet before. Your body can't live on grapefruit alone. You can't live on bananas alone. Never do an extreme diet that limits you to just one type of food or one type or way of eating. So once again, I repeat, no fad diets and no extremes. Use balance, prudence, and wisdom in everything that you do. Try to eat foods in the season that they ripen. They're more nutritious that way. Don't try to eat strawberries in October when strawberries are supposed to ripen in April and May. So using this acronym of Building Your Personal Health Plan, or P.L.A.N, you can achieve ultimate health. Remember, purification, longevity, assimilation, and nutrition. Build your personal health plan. Build it for you, build it for your family. Only through following the plan can you achieve ultimate health. I want to talk to you now about one of the problems that is plaguing our modern day society. And many people think that this particular topic is only a woman's problem, but that's not necessarily true. Men have similar issues, and I'm going to get into that later. Let's talk a little bit about estrogen and estrogen imbalances. One of the things that I see consistently as I consult with my clients are estrogen imbalances. We can start off with estrogen imbalances as early as 8, 9, 10 years old. Because of our diets, our lifestyles, and including obesity that plagues our children nowadays, we're beginning to see women start their menstrual cycles younger and younger in life. In fact, some are still children. One of the problems that can occur if a young woman starts her menstrual cycle too early is that she can actually go into menopause in her 30s and 40s. And again, today we're seeing more and more of that. Well, what's the cause of this? Why is this happening? A lot of it has to do with the amount of estrogen or synthetic estrogens that are found in our foods nowadays. Nowadays, the dairy industry in particular is flooding our bodies with synthetic estrogens. Estrogens that cause chickens to lay more eggs, that cause chickens to become fatter and plumper faster, that cause cows to produce more milk, and also cause cows to become fatter so that there's more meat on them. When we eat these estrogen-laden products, our own bodies don't know how to process this synthetic estrogen called estradiol in its synthetic form. Because these synthetic estrogens are actually a type of estrogen, they actually connect with the estrogen receptors in our cells and thus block them. However, when they connect with the estrogen receptors, they don't necessarily function like estrogen, and so your body actually acts as if it's low in estrogen. This lack of estrogen can actually cause young women to start their menstrual cycles earlier on. It can cause obesity issues. It can cause premenopause in women in their 30s and 40s. So how do you know if you suffer from an estrogen deficiency? If you experience drastic mood swings during your menstrual cycle, if you experience cramping or heavy bleeding, or let's say you're in your 20s and 30s and still have small hips and small breast size, these could all be indications that you are lacking estrogen. So if you do express any of those symptoms, what can you do about it? Well, I'm about to tell you. The answer is in your foods. There are a myriad of estrogen-containing foods that you can buy at the grocery store. Have you ever eaten a strawberry or raspberries? How about sweet potatoes or yams? Or soy products like edamame, tofu? These are all foods that are high in estrogen. But sometimes if you have those symptoms and you're really low in estrogen, foods alone is not the answer. Again, if you've got a broken lifestyle, you need a crutch. That crutch can come in the form of supplementation. There are some very specific herbs that I've put together in a product that we call phytoestrogen that can actually fulfill your estrogen deficient needs. Estrogen sources that come from plants are called phytoestrogens. And this product I formulated is actually a series of phytoestrogens and estrogen precursors that can even allow your body to help you produce more estrogen. So you might ask, what are some of the benefits of taking a phytoestrogen product? Well, if you suffer from premenstrual cramping, heavy blood flow, severe mood swings, or premenopausal symptoms such as night sweats, hot flashes, anything like that, then taking a phytoestrogen supplement will eliminate all of those symptoms. Some people actually believe that taking phytoestrogens can actually increase your risk of cancer, and that's just not true. Again, what causes cancer, especially breast, cervical, and ovarian cancer in women nowadays, are the synthetic estrogens or estradiol. Phytoestrogens are not estradiol. They're basically estrogen precursors found in plants, steroid alcohols that can actually act as estrogen in the body. Have you ever heard of anybody getting cancer from sweet potatoes or from raspberries? And yet both of these are very high in estrogen. The fact of the matter is that no, phytoestrogens do not cause cancer. Synthetic estrogens do. I want to talk to the men for just a minute. Why is it that prostate health is always associated with the masculinity or the general health and well-being of a man? Well, it's because it's one of the few issues that we actually hit in our 40s, 50s, and 60s. A man can always tell if his overall health is not very good based upon his prostate care needs. Do you urinate frequently at night? Do you have to get up several times in the middle of the night to urinate? Do you experience pain, stiffness, or cramping while you urinate? These are all issues that are easily visible and easily felt by men who have reached their middle and upper ages. But a man's overall health shouldn't always or shouldn't necessarily be measured by just his prostate health. We have specific needs too. We've got to have a balance of testosterone and estrogen. We also have to have certain amino acid intake to maintain our muscle mass and our bone density. Very similar to how a woman's body works, except the hormonal needs are different. That's just one of the few differences in a man and a woman. So as a man reaches maturity and begins to age, he'll start seeing some other symptoms besides just poor prostate care. We can experience hair loss. We can experience a decrease in our muscle mass. We can also experience mood swings as well. We can get agitated easily if our testosterone levels are too high. Or we can actually get depressed if our testosterone levels are too low. When I hit my 40s a couple of years ago, I even started experiencing some of the symptoms that I've talked about. And that's why I decided to formulate a product just for men, to increase our health and vitality. The formula that I put together not only has a special blend of herbs that can help with men's prostate issues, but also can help maintain healthy testosterone levels too. With this particular product that I put together, I actually want to talk about an issue that most men don't talk about. It's called andropause. It's similar to menopause in women, except it's something that men experience. Men tend to experience it a little later on in life though. And this product that I put together can help you through that transition of andropause, basically menopause for men. What that experience is mood swings, depression, loss of muscle mass, loss of hair, and loss of sexual drive. All of these things tend to happen in men, usually in their late 60s and early 70s. However, because of diet, lifestyle, stress, and a myriad of other factors, more and more men are experiencing this earlier and earlier in life. In fact, I've even experienced it in men in their late 40s and early 50s. More and more men are experiencing this in their 40s and 50s. So if you're one of those men who are experiencing hair loss, a decrease in muscle mass, depression, or even aggression or mood swings, then this product is going to be right for you. Let me talk a little bit about how this can help you. By balancing testosterone and estrogen levels, we can actually increase your libido, increase muscle mass, increase energy, increase mental clarity and focus as well. These are all benefits that can happen when you take this formula that I've created just for men. These are all benefits that you can achieve when you take this special formula that I created just for men.